What's up, everyone? Well, might as well stop the music. It's going to be hard to be chipper on a day like today. Max loss. First red day of the year. Silver lining, it was a 76 consecutive day hot streak. This is my first red day since November. In fact, in the last 9 months, I've only had 7 red days, including today. Life is good. The glass is more than half full. I'm in great shape. But today, I got smoked. And what ended up happening was I took my first trades on TNON, a stock that was up, 400%. It's still up 290%. It's up a lot. And I didn't make any money on it. I took 3 or 4 trades in a row, break even, break even, break even. It's like, it wasn't, I don't know. It was so thickly traded. I couldn't sink my teeth in. I couldn't get a good winner. And then I switched gears and took a trade on a stock right off the scans on a micro pullback. I got in at about 417 with a stop at 4. It flushes down to 4. I press the sell button. I fill half of my order at 380. The other half at 280. Whoa. This thing flushed. It dropped like a rock, and I lost on that one trade $18,000. That's the biggest loss I've had all year long. So in that moment, I'm down 18,000 on the day, basically. And I was like, okay, that's a big loss. I really don't want to be losing more than $10,000 on a good day based on the fact that, on a bad day, based on the fact that $10,000 has been my daily average over the last 7 days. So I said, you know what, let's draw a line in the sand, $20,000, and that'll be the line. If I cross it, I'm done. So let's jump onto the charts and break it down. Well, to add insult to injury, I'm actually red on DATS. It's currently up 120%, and I'm red on it. It's kind of hard to believe, but this one, unfortunately, chopped me out a couple of times. I got stopped out on it in this area, and I got stopped out on it right at the open. I bought it pre-market for a squeeze up, and it sold off at the open. Then it rallied back up, but look at this huge jackknife. That jackknife was where I said, you know what, I'm going to walk away. I just can't take the risk. Now, of course, it rallied off of that level, but I'm sitting down right now, $17,372.37. So at the open, I lost, or when I started trading, I lost $65 on TNON, and then I proceeded to lose $18,000 on KBSX. So that put me down $18,300. And I said, all right, line in the sand is 20 grand. So that's it. I've got, $1,600 of risk. And if I lose that, I'm down 20 grand, and that's it. I'm walking away. And the reason I gave myself that little cushion to keep trading was because although I felt disappointed, I felt that I felt that it was early enough in the day and that I was able to maintain composure that I had a chance at recouping some of the loss. Maybe not all of it, but some of it. And I proceeded to trade, these 2, 4, 5 stocks, but as you can see, I basically made nothing on them. In fact, if it weren't for the loss on KBSX, I'd only be up $1,000 today. So it's kind of strange because although on the one hand, you could say, gosh, we've got a ton of momentum today. Of course, we'd have to look at the momentum we had pre-market since that was where I was trading. You're right, but these weren't all easy to trade. In fact, even TNON, I had a nice trade on it right here. I got in, and this is incredible. We had this incredible move from 4 all the way up to 5. I added as it did a micro pullback, and then I ended up adding 15,000 shares at 570. On this one, I was like, here we go. I'm ready for that big squeeze. And in an instant, it came back down to 5. And I gave back everything I'd made on it. And then it was just after that squeeze that I took the loss on KBSX. So, if I can't make money on a move this big, then it's a difficult market. Now, it's kind of crazy because normally I would do really well on this. But I had some great profit on it, and then I added back way too high. And you can see in an instant, this is a 1-minute chart. It went from 540 to 6 and then back down to 480 within 3 minutes. So the range was just really intense. Now, look, this is also, I'll say, not uncommon. When the market starts to pick up, as we obviously got momentum yesterday on MLGO, and I held discipline yesterday. I didn't come back and trade MLGO yesterday because I didn't feel I had the cushion to take the risk. And that was the right move. Discipline. Discipline is number one. And so I maintained my discipline yesterday. I didn't come back and trade this. Even though it was squeezing, I said, nope, I've got to follow my rules. Small green days are important. But we obviously had big momentum yesterday. And then this morning, TNON was already up 300% pre-market before I even sat down at 7 a.m. So at 7, it pulls away. It was kind of a grinder. This is the area where I took a bunch of trades on it and made nothing. And then I come back in here and I'm up like 7,000 on it. And then in one trade, back to flat, right? So it's like, holy smokes, that's not great. And at the open, I said, I'm not even touching this thing. And I knew it was right under the 200 moving average on the daily. So I just said, no, I'm leaving this one alone. So TNON, it's a big mover, but it wasn't easy to trade. And the problem here is that when you have a stock that's a big mover like this, it's up 300%, it's the number one most obvious stock. Everyone's paying attention to it. It just so happens that it's not a stock that, for me, is easy to trade. And so, I didn't do well on it. And it also means that it's hard for other stocks to become the most obvious because TNON was sort of taking the spotlight. So then DATS pops up. And when it first pops up, I did make some money on it. I was green on it before I went red. It popped up here, pulled back, and then curled really nicely here from 250 up to 350. Pulls back, and then false breakout, drops, sells off hard. Back over VWAP, pulls back, and then it rips. But it can't break through the highs. Sells off. Then the jackknife here, and then this was a nice pullback. In fact, that was probably the cleanest setup of the whole day right there. So will this give another clean setup? First pullback? Well, you'd probably say this is the first, this is the second, so this one's probably going to reject, if I had to guess, especially considering how extended we are on the 5-minute chart. Now, now that I'm not trading, maybe it'll work, and that'll just add a little more insult to injury. But nonetheless, it's better to stick with the rules, because here's the thing that I'll tell you. I've said recently that in theory, I could probably avoid ever having red days, with the exception of if I run out of time. And today I ran out of time, based on the time of day that I typically make the most money. So if I don't do well during the time of day where I typically make the most money, and I'm red $17,000, it's not a good idea for me to continue trading later in the day, because that's the time of day I already typically don't do well. So this is not the type of day I should push it longer. If there was ever a type of day I should push it longer, it's on a day where I'm really in the green, doing great. That's the time to double down, trade a little longer and try to get as much as I can. And sure enough, DATS is pulling a little bit higher on the third pullback there. So DATS, it's tough to see. It is what it is. Let's see. But let's look at AL. Well, let's see. Where should we kind of get focused in? So KBSX, I guess we can look at the chart on that one because I haven't shown that one to you yet. So on this one, this was kind of interesting this morning. This one popped up early, and I saw it pop up, and then it ramped up right here real quick. And as it squeezed up right here, I jumped in as it broke over 4 on that little micro pullback there. I'm in at about 415. It rips up to 440. I'm like, sweet, but I didn't take any profit. And then it comes back down. I'm like, I'm going to hold through a 1 minute or basically a 10-second pullback for the next leg up. And then when it broke 4, I was like, I got to stop out. Sold half here and filled the rest way down here. This was slippage. And honestly, that's probably a high frequency trading algorithm that was cutting in front of my sell order, making it harder for me to sell, unfortunately. So just got, really wiped out on that trade right there. And although it bounced back up a little bit, it was the right thing to do to sell it because, we've seen these drop worse than that, and you don't want to just keep holding it. So anyways, had to cut the loss on that. And so after my big loss on TNON, I broke the ice with a small trade on POAI. And I made about $900 on it. And I was like, okay, well, I'm down 18,000. Making 900 is a small base hit. I'll take it. But I recognize that these are very small winners. And in fact, today, I don't have a single trade that was a solid winner. I mean, I guess the only one was the one on TNON, but then it disappeared pretty quickly. So POAI at around 7:30, 7:45 started to pull away, as you can see right here. And I didn't jump on it until it was a little more extended. So I only made a small trade on it for $900. So a little micro pullback, small trade for 900. And then I jumped on BLNE. BLNE hit the scanner and I got out with profit, but only just barely because that did another rejection. So after that, I was like, all right, you know what? This is not good at all. So POAI kept going, but BLNE did a big reversal. And so then I had the first loss on DATS. So I think I gave back like 600 on DATS, and then on the next trades I got green and was up about 1,500 on it. And then I got a trade on ALMS, which is a little higher than I'd like to trade based on the float, but squeezed from 450 all the way up to 750. So on this one, I bought this pullback up here. It was a little extended, and I was like, oh, this is a little risky, but I took that trade and actually also took this trade right here. So I got two little pullback trades on ALMS and made $1,400. So that's the ticker that I'm the most green on. It's kind of surprising. And unfortunately, though, it retraced the entire move. So, and then we had MGRX. MGRX, this one popped up. Oh my goodness, look at this. Unbelievable. I got in this for the break of 6. It went up to 605, dropped back down, knifed, and then sold off at the open. It's back down at $3. And that's in spite of it having news. Okay, so caution flag has to be out today. I mean, yes, yesterday we had MLGO, big move. Okay, that's great to see. There's a lot of FOMO in the market. Traders are aggressive. They're looking for moves, but shorts are also aggressive, looking for a little recovery. And, you got a big move this morning on TNON, but now it's unwinding, coming back down. DATS, attention shifting over to that a little bit. Is it going to continue going higher? I just don't know. I mean, you've got a lot of room on the daily chart, so it may, but I don't know. Right now, unfortunately, I don't feel like I have an edge. I don't feel like at this point, I just am too concerned that if I kept trading, I would go further into the red. And so the $17,000 that I'm down right now, that's not going to be difficult for me to recover. I mean, there's no question about it. I'm up over $1 million on the year. So recovering 17,000, I haven't lost more than I can make in one good day. This is my calendar of the year so far, not including yesterday. So 2024, November was my last red day. That was November 29th. So nearly 4 months without a red day, which is phenomenal. Really grateful for that. And, you look at the recent here. Kind of just been grinding on $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 days, a couple $15,000 days here and there in the last 2 weeks. March has generally been slower. So right now I'm giving up, let's see, I was at $136,000 for March. So dropping down to like 115 or whatever, 118, whatever. It's a little bit of a setback, but honestly, I was thinking this morning, I was like, how much did I make yesterday? And I genuinely could not remember. I hadn't imported my trades yet. So I was like, where am I on the week? And I was like, I can't even remember how much I made yesterday. Was it 5,000? Was it 7? Was it 10? Was it 15? I don't know. It wasn't 20 or 30. I'd remember that. And it wasn't a red day. Maybe it was a small green day. I don't remember. It's water under the bridge. That's how quickly I forget. And that's the right way to be about it. Just detach, let it go. So you know what? This loss right now, the 17,000, I'll remember this loss because it's my first red day of the year. And I'll remember that was disappointing, but I won't look back and be like, wow, this was a day that I screwed up big time. This is a day where I revenge traded and I let aggression and frustration and emotion get the best of me and spiraled and had, a record-breaking red day that cost me months of progress. No, nothing like that. Is it a bigger red day? Sure, it's the luck of the draw. I've been on a nice hot streak. I've been taking risk. And today I got on the wrong side of, one trade, and that's the risk. So I can handle that risk, and I can handle this loss. And, if it takes a couple days to make it back, it takes a week to make it back. I'd be surprised if it takes a whole week to make it back. It's probably going to be a couple days. And then I'll be back to the high of the month of March, and, just try to finish up the month with a couple small green days. So coming into tomorrow, the thing that's important is that I approach tomorrow calm, cool, and collected. Because what I don't want to do is try to make back all of today's loss tomorrow. And on my first trade, take a ton of risk and end up losing another 15 grand. 2 back-to-back big red days. Now that starts to be a problem. So tomorrow, I've got to throttle it back a little bit, reduce my share size, see if I can build a cushion on my first couple trades. And, if I can, then that's great. But be a little bit more cautious. KBSX today, if I could go back and do anything differently, what would I do differently? I probably would have taken that same trade almost any day that I saw it. You know, there wasn't really anything super, super concerning about it in that moment. The total volume was a little light. That's the one thing that maybe I would say. The total volume was a little bit light on it. I'm not sure. Well, we could do this little thing. So let's see. What was the total volume on the day? So the total volume on the day at that point was, yeah, so it was actually only 500,000 shares. That is pretty light. It was moving. There's no question about it. It was up 78% on the day. But it's only about 500,000 shares of volume. So lighter volume stocks, you know, they can be riskier. Maybe I should have waited for a little more confirmation. And I should be a little more cautious on those light volume stocks. Now, of course, you have TNON on the other hand, which has got 175 million shares of volume. And you would almost say is got too much volume. I mean, it's so thickly traded. It's just, it's almost got too much volume. So it's very hard to read the level too, because there's so much volume going through. So there's definitely a sweet spot. And it's probably over 1 million shares and less than like 50 million shares, probably. But that's just sort of throwing out numbers. So yeah, anyways, and I also think, you know, for those of you guys who maybe are tuning in for the first time, thank you for tuning in. Some of you guys, most of you probably watch a lot of these recaps, and I know you appreciate the red days. And for me, I upload every single day to YouTube. So whether it's a red day or green day, whether it's a great day, a bad day, frustration, doesn't matter. I upload it here. So I give you guys my recap, and I try to be very transparent in that way where you can really see what it's like to be a trader. It's not easy. There are moments that are, this right here is the very hardest part about being a trader today, the red days. This is the worst part. There's no question about it. The green days are easy. There's nothing hard about a green day. It's the red days that are hard. These are the days that'll test you. But if you can do well on these red days at your worst, then you're going to do really well in the markets. Easier for your strategy. And that's just the thing. The market, in fact, the S&P 500 is rallying back up quite nicely. So we've got a bit of a rally in the overall market. You know, small caps are definitely moving. So it's kind of surprising that I'm red today, but sometimes this happens. Sometimes when the market gets hot, you get so much volatility that you end up catching one going the wrong direction, and then you're deep in the red. And then you kind of get into this game of like chasing, and everything is a chase, and you're just like, oh shoot, I'm just going deeper in the red and I can't get positioned, and it just gets worse and worse from there. And it's like, how is it possible that these stocks are up 300% and I'm red on them? This makes no sense. But you know, it happens, and it's happened to me many times, and today's another example of that. So it's okay. I mean, it's just one day. You have to just be able to detach. It's just one day. Don't let it be anything more than that. This might be my biggest red day of the year. It's too early to say. I think this would be the biggest red day I've had in over a year. I mean, I'd have to go back. This doesn't make it super easy to view multiple years. Last year, let's see. So if I go to last year and then I go to win-loss, no, I'm going to go to detailed. Let's see. So detailed win-loss expectation. So it looks like I had a $28,000 drawdown at one point last year. And it was also in March. I don't know, probably coincidence. And the rest of the drawdowns are around 10,000. So it is the biggest draw. It's the biggest loss I've had at 18,000 in a year, but it's not bigger than that one. And so I don't know. You know, like I said, it's just one day, and it's not a record breaker red day. So it's like, don't need to really put more weight into it emotionally than it's worth. And that's what I would say about red days in general. Just walk away while it's still a small red day before you do something stupid. That's the best thing you can do. And that's what I'm doing here. So trying to lead by example. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you appreciate these recaps. If you do, you can hit the thumbs up. You can subscribe to the channel, and I'll be back at it bright and early tomorrow morning, streaming 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for members at Warrior Trading. All right. I'll see you guys in the morning. Reminders always, trading is risky. My results aren't typical, so please manage your risk, take it slow, and I'll see you guys here tomorrow morning.